Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Brent McGrath and I'm the host of Talks and Discussions, What Matters and What Doesn't Matter. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Rosa Luz Aguilar. How are you doing, Rosa?
Doing great. Thank you for having me, Brent.
This is very interesting for me because Rosa works at WabTech. Can you tell us kind of what WabTech is?
Sure. Well, WabTech is Westinghouse Air Brake Technologies, and it is a company that designs, manufactures, and provide post-sale services for freight and locomotive equipment. And I work on project management. I do productivity projects for the company on remanufacturing components.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your thought process when you chose your career?
Well, that takes me back to when I was about to start high school, I would say. Typically, one will pick a career when you're about to start college, but I did back then because I remember when I finished middle school, what it is here, middle school, I didn't want to go to the typical high school where I thought I will get more of the same of what I got on middle school. So I studied at SETI, which is a technological high school, you could say. And from there, I studied total quality and productivity, which is very much focused on engineering. I'm an industrial engineer. And because I like a lot of stuff, I couldn't be like something very specific. This career has allowed me to have a very broad view, but also like a global view of a business, of a company, of basically anything, because it can apply not only to manufacturing or services, I would say. I think it has allowed me to see the world in a more global way, from human perspective, from machines perspective, technologies and innovation. So that's how I picked to focus on that. Once I finished that high school, technological high school, I decided to continue on industrial engineering, and well, that's how I got here.
One thing I know about Rosa is she likes to plan. And I'm a Canadian, I like to plan, but she plans even more than I do. So planning every single detail leaves no room for living life. Did you think about this before your plan, or were you too focused on your goal?
That's a very interesting question, because I think for a lot of time I overplan, and it started when I was basically in high school, because I also got into this, I would say, highly focused career environment with engineering. From there, I started thinking on developing this master plan for my career, for my life, which I back then limited to just my career development. And I thought, okay, by this year I will start college. By this year I will finish studying English. Then by this year I will get a job and study at the same time. And then by this year I will go to study abroad. And it was everything so specific that I think I missed on other possibilities. I don't think like I missed out, I should have done this. I have no regrets, honestly, but I think it is good to also have some openness, you could say. It is good to have a plan, definitely, but also to allow yourself to just see what's happening next, or like what's happening on the side. And I think I was very, very focused on my plan, on my goal at some point, to the point where I even stopped planning. And then I got to my, like, the end goal, or like the finish line of this master plan, and I was like, oh, okay, and what's next? So that was a very interesting experience, because the year after that allowed me to really dive into myself, I would say, and to allow myself to explore other possibilities, which I hadn't really done. And yeah, I think I was very focused, which I don't think it is a terrible thing to do. I don't think it is bad that you do that. It's just, it is all give and take. It's like as everything in life, I'd say.
Okay. So you planned a lot and you got to a point where you're finished. So what are the downsides to planning so much?
The downsides, well, as I mentioned, I think it is mostly the fact that you can possibly miss on some other possibilities, on developing other skills, hobbies, other things that you might enjoy. Because I thought, okay, so I'm going to be an industrial engineer and I want to become a project manager, so I need to develop this and this skill. And I didn't allow myself to explore other things in which I'm actually good at, and that I didn't get to exercise that much during this time. So I think that is one of the downsides, and also that I focused so much on career development during my youth, I would say,
Yes.
that I did not allow myself to have as much fun possibly as many others my age back then. And I think, yeah, it's a series of trade-offs. So I think that is one of the downsides, that you need to also allow some spare time to just be creative and get out of the box and just explore, and who knows, in the way you might find a life-changing opportunity, and that might change the whole story.
Okay, so what are the upsides to planning so much?
Well, there are a lot of upsides, I would say. By now, I think I've really developed very well several of the skills that have taken me to where I am now, to the opportunities that I have now. I could also say that, well, we're in Mexico, and I come from a family that financially, at a certain extent, we had some troubles at some point.
Okay.
I studied in the public education system, which in Mexico is known for not being great. But I think that because I have a good plan and I knew where to take the tools, the skills that I needed, I made the most of what I had. I did not allow anything to limit my development. I did not allow any, you could say, economical limitation to get on the way. I did not allow any gender disparity to get on the way, because I had a plan, because I had my goal inside. So that was as well as did not allow myself to how can you say, diverge into other stuff. I did not allow other stuff to get on the way of me getting to that goal. And I'd say that's really been helpful for me. It has empowered me and allowed me to feel confident that wherever I get my sight on, whatever goal I set myself for, I know I can get it.
Interesting. Okay. I think leadership is something that you grew into. Can you walk us through that process?
Sure. Well, definitely, I think at this point in my career, I'm starting to lead things. And I've been having, of course, a process of learning not to only lead myself, but also to lead a team. And I think when I started on my first job, when I was at first trying to lead some initiatives, I was still a college student on my first job. And I mean, I worked on the railroad industry, which here in Mexico is typically male dominated. And I struggle to find that empowerment, or to stand up and be a leader there in that field. However, I think when I joined Toastmasters, I started to learn a lot of techniques and to gain a lot of confidence into leading others despite gender, despite age, experience, background. And I think that allowed me to grow a lot, to the point where I'm still on the company where I started working.
Yep.
Here is where I started my career. And I mean, it's almost a total of 8 years of experience within this company, where I've grown from a quality intern to where I'm now, where I'm leading productivity projects. So
Nice, eh? Okay. So, tell us about your next adventure.
well, that is quite interesting because indeed it is an adventure. It is not something for which I had a plan laid out, to be honest. But with the company that I work for, now I'm moving to Las Vegas, Nevada next year. Well, this year now. In a couple of weeks, I will be moving there, and it is very exciting because despite I have been abroad other times for studying, this time is different because I'm going for work, and it is always exciting to get there, and even more because I took on this role back in March, but because of the pandemic I had to perform remotely. So because the border closed and all the visa processing restrictions, the process was stopped. And now I got my visa, I'm going to be able to be there at the shop. And I'm really excited because it has been 9 months of trying to figure things out from here on a place that I've never been to, at that shop and at that facility. And I'm really excited for it. That's the only word that I can find to describe it. So yeah, hopefully I'll get there in a couple of weeks.
No, it's very nice to have you, Rosa. The thing that is interesting about Rosa is that she plans a lot, but when she actually didn't plan, that's when she got the big break. So I guess the lesson here is that planning is a good thing, but you also have to have some time to just grow. You can't plan growth. And growth is something that comes, like she's only 30 years old, so she's grown a lot.
28.
Okay, 28. But she's grown a lot in the time that I've known her for the last 8 years, and she's grown a lot. Leadership wise, she is a very good leader, and she's really good at what she does. So if you see her in the States, see her in Las Vegas, in WabTech, I'm pretty sure she'll climb the ladder of success pretty quickly. Thank you, young lady.
Thank you very much, Brent.
You're welcome.